What is up, guys? Delboy here. I just wanted to talk about Alexander Povetkin versus David Price. This fight is on the undercard of Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker. Alexander Povetkin is already the WBO mandatory challenger, and this fight with David Price, I believe, is going to be some kind of WBA eliminator. So basically, the winner of Price Povetkin has a great chance of fighting the winner of AJ versus Parker. Firstly, in regards to the elephant in the room, I don't care about the drugs. Back in the day, I used to really care about drug testing, but when you really analyse it, when you really look at it with a clear head, you'd realise none of this is being implemented fairly. The punishments are not across the board. You see fighters using drug testing as ways to duck fights, and you see, fighter A could get tested 2 times in the lead up to a fight, whereas fighter B can get tested eight times in the lead up to a fight. None of this is fair. None of the punishments are being implemented equally. It's just a load of BS. So right now, I could give a fuck less about drug testing, and I want to see Povetkin fight. That's just the reality. And anybody who has a problem with that, cool, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But at the same time, I don't really want to see you in your next tweet or comment saying how great James Toney was or how great Roy Jones was when you've got such an issue with drug cheats. I don't want to see you say, "Oh, how great was Shane Mosley?" But it is what it is, man. None of this is fair, really. As I said before, and I'll say it again, boxing will be a lot fairer with zero drug testing. That's just the reality. Price versus Povetkin, it's a fight Povetkin should win quite comfortably, to be quite honest. I've seen people say online that David Price should come out on his back foot, use his legs, use his range, try and turn Povetkin, keep Povetkin off balance, Well, that's all well and good. That's what he should be doing. He's the taller man, he's the longer man, he's the bigger man. Yeah, that's what he should be doing, but when have we seen David Price do that for 12 rounds? When have we seen David Price fight for long periods of time without gassing out? It's not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen. There's only one way David Price wins this fight, and that's if he holds his feet and lets his hands go. That is the only way he can win this fight. He can't, and I repeat, he can't outbox Povetkin for 12 rounds because he's not going to see 12 rounds. He's going to get knocked out. So he either basically boxes in a shell and gets knocked out and has no chance, or he lets his hands go, has a little bit of a chance, but probably gets knocked out. But there is choices. That's just the reality. I feel David Price needs to come out in this fight and fight like Scotty Cardle against Lewis Ritson. He needs to come out, let his hands go, and see what happens. I know that when you're perceived to be the weaker fighter, you shouldn't sort of hold your feet with a puncher. I get that, I know that, but the reality is that's the only way Price can win this fight. And to me, he just needs to roll the dice. A lot of people are saying this is a fight he should not be in, so why not try and bomb Povetkin out of there? Why not try to catch him cold, catch him with something early, catch him with something when you're fresh. He needs to roll the dice and he needs to do it early. Povetkin's a guy who is a steady fighter. He's got good technique. He's got reasonable defense. He covers up well. I like the way he changes levels in regards to his movement. So he'll bob and weave a little bit. Nothing too extravagant, but he'll move his head. He'll dip down low. He'll use waist movement. Not like extravagantly, but he'll use it subtly to slip punches. I like the way he works the body. I like his right hand down the pipe and his left hook. He's a good counter puncher. He's a steady boxer. Povetkin's one of those guys who does everything well, but I wouldn't really say he excels in any one area. I'd say his consistency is his biggest strength, as well as his decent power and his good punch placement. I've heard people say David Price is a better boxer than Povetkin in the build-up to this fight. I totally disagree. I feel Povetkin is more skilled. He's more versatile. He's got more technical ability. He's better defensively. He can't outbox Povetkin despite him being the longer, bigger man. He can do it for maybe 30-second intervals where he's popping a jab out and Povetkin's just trying to find his range. Maybe he can win brief exchanges like that, but I just feel that David Price's jab is not strong enough to keep Povetkin at bay. David Price has a horrible habit of just pouring a jab. He won't throw the jab with any conviction. He'll just place it out there, trying to tap his opponent and keep him away. And he looks to set up that right hand with it. The only issue is that right hand behind it never really comes anymore. He fights with so little confidence. He's scared to let that right hand go with full power. Ever since those back-to-back Tony Thompson defeats, David Price has never found that same confidence level again. And that confidence is never going to return. I see nothing to suggest that it will, to be honest with you. I feel he's going to go into a shell in this fight. He's going to revert to type. He's going to be throwing a weak jab. He'll be trying to pour at Povetkin, try and keep Povetkin at range. But Povetkin's going to go right under that jab and either come up with a left hook or right hand. And David Price is going to get caught with a big shot that he doesn't see coming, and he's going to get himself knocked out. He's going to get himself knocked out by being too cautious and too careful and too respectful of Povetkin. To me, Price cannot, and I repeat, cannot outbox Povetkin. If he tries to do that, he is going to get knocked out. He needs to let his hands go. He needs to roll the dice. And if he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out. But all I'm saying is, if he boxes, he's got no chance. He needs to act like a crazy man. He needs to do something to get himself psyched up. And he just needs to go for it. Sometimes people try to overcomplicate boxing. To me, this is not a complicated fight to talk about in regards to David Price. It really isn't. He just needs to let his hands go and roll the dice. I cannot believe that people are suggesting that David Price should box this fight like he's going to box a long, drawn-out fight. You know what I mean? Because he can't win that fight. It's like these guys haven't watched David Price's career unfold in front of us. We know where he's weak. We know he's got terrible stamina. We know he's chinny. We know he handles pressure terribly. And we know he's got so many holes defensively. So when you consider all of those factors, I just don't see why people are saying that Price needs to box a defensive fight and a fight that we've never ever seen him box before. One thing we know about David Price, despite all of the negatives, he does hit very hard. That's his only chance in this fight. To me, it's simple. Just go to knock Povetkin out. Take risks. Roll the dice. Because ultimately, let's say he lands that lucky shot. I say lucky shot, there's no such thing in boxing, but let's say he lands that big punch and it sprawls Povetkin out cold. That's his life changed forever. He gets a Joshua fight. Or a Parker fight. He gets something big, a big payday. He doesn't get that if he boxes on the back foot and boxes timidly. He doesn't get that. He needs to make the most of this. He needs to let his hands go. He needs to sit on his punches. He needs to try and take Povetkin to war and hope he just lands a big, big shot that catches him clean, catches him cold, and knocks him out cold. Can't win this fight any other way. Peace.